this is going to be really shocking. I mean, no one's really gonna expect this. No one's really talked about this, and I'm just prepared for the heat waves that are gonna come my way. But when Multiversus hit the internet, it was anything but a clean review. Leaks and insiders played the game's potential so much that the team was forced to do a quick and dirty review that showed off a lot. But months went on and it was even more clear that the game was not ready to be shown, with numerous tests going on that players were sworn to secrecy about. But the time has come, my friends. Multiversus is here with an alpha test with no NDA. Players all around the world have tried the game, posted their thoughts, including me, RidersDX. And beautiful humans, I have 3 main points I want to go over you about this game. 1 point about the game that I'm absolutely in love with, 1 point of the game that I'm definitely not in love with, and 1 point about the game that I'm not too sure about. So I'm hoping y'all can help me out with that actually, so please stick to the very end to hear about that last point and kind of tell me what you think about what I'm saying. But yes, for those of you who don't know, Multiversus is a crossover platform fighting game that includes so many different kinds of Warner Brothers IPs, including Scooby-Doo, DC comic franchises, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, you name it. So many different people are showing up here. And that brings me to the first point which I'm absolutely in love with about this game. It's the personality of the game. It is absolutely filled to the brim with so much charm and so many things that are making longtime fans of these franchises like me go absolutely wild over. Every single detail of this game is filled to the brim with references and creativity in bringing these iconic IPs to the platform fighter space. Jake from Adventure Time, for instance, is able to transform into tons of objects you see him become on the show. Bugs Bunny, who's basically my main at this point, can do things like shoot out Acme rockets, throw pies at people, and dig holes, which is honestly really awesome. Velma is probably the biggest surprise to me, but I think, to be honest, she was the biggest surprise for me because I had absolutely no idea what to expect with Velma, but she's one of the sassiest characters in here, as she literally shoots out sass as her attacks, but she also has really cool moves like being able to call over a police car when she collects enough evidence to trap people in that results in them being stunned. And there's also the fact that when you crouch as Velma, she has this animation where she is crouching kind of like looking for her glasses, and the screen literally becomes blurry because she's Velma and she can't see because she doesn't have her glasses. I mean, things like that are just like, they really took me by surprise because I'm like, well, this game already looked like it was gonna have so much love poured into it, but just to see the creative things that they're doing with this game is absolutely incredible. And I think the stupidest thing that I saw that's just so stupid that is just hilarious beyond all doubt and just kind of amazing is the fact that Taz, he has his ability where he can like pour salt on people, and if he pours enough salt on someone, they literally become a defenseless fried chicken. Like, it's you can't make this stuff up. The creativity behind this game is absolutely incredible, and I'm just so completely wowed by it. The levels are great too, as they feel like a perfect balance between being stable environments but also invoking tons of character from their respective shows. I mean, I really like the Scooby-Doo one. I think the Adventure Time Treehouse is pure classic, definitely was a requirement here. I personally am in love with the Batcave because, I mean, it's a Batcave first of all. The Batcave is completely awesome, but it's also the fact that the Batcave has this little feature where smoke pops up from the bottom and it makes characters non-visible for a short time. Anyone who steps into that gas cannot be seen. I mean, you kind of know where you are because you know that you stepped into that gas, but nonetheless, it's a really cool feature, and it's just things like that really suit this game well. I think my favorite part about these levels is the fact that they do invoke some character from the shows and franchises that they take from, but at the same time, they're also really balanced. I mean, none of them are just outright crazy that it's impossible to fight on them. Like, you know, there are some levels in Smash Bros. And Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl where you feel like you're fighting the level more than the actual fighters, but none of the levels here feel like that. All these levels feel like they've got the little gimmicks here and there, but at the same time, like, you can still have a really good match on them. You know, as I play these platform fighter games a lot more, I've become much less interested in stages that really try to like get their way through with tons of gimmicks. I just think like, okay, it looks cool, like the gimmicks look cool, but at the same time, if I'm not able to have like a solid fight on it and really utilize the skills I've been training on, then the gimmicks kind of feel like a thing that just gets in the way, honestly. So I feel like the gimmicks here in Multiversus really do hit that balance really well, and I really have no issue if all the other levels are just like this. I mean, they can play with gimmicks if they like to, but if they have that option of a more balanced like stage layout, then I really think that's like the best of both worlds. And oh my gosh, the voice acting is absolutely amazing. The fact that you not only have voice acting in the first place, but you also have lines recorded specifically directed at specific characters is absolutely insane. These characters say specific things to like all the characters that are in the game, and that must have taken a lot of coordination and a lot of creativity to get through. You literally have a voice line for every situation possible, and I don't know, it's just something that I never would have envisioned for a licensed platform fighter. We've had so many different kind of like licensed like spin-off games, racing, parties, etc., and I just haven't really seen a licensed game get this much put into it. But it's really exciting and I'm really excited about it. Multiversus is the perfect dream game for like a licensed game lover like me. It feels like there's so much in this game that was made specifically for me, and I'm just really excited about it. Now, there is something that I'm not quite as big on, and this is going to be really shocking. I mean, no one's really gonna expect this, no one's really talked about this, and I'm just prepared for the heat waves that are gonna come my way, but bugs. I'm not a big fan of the bugs. Yeah, I was totally kidding. I mean, I really don't have anything that I really dislike about this game, but there's definitely some polishing that needs to be done. For instance, for some reason, in a bunch of my gameplay of this game so far, Taz literally becomes invisible, like really often, like almost every match. He starts off as visible for like the first like 30 seconds, but as soon as you knock him out, he comes back and he's like invisible. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I can still see him, but it's definitely not ideal, and it's kind of like a silly thing at this point that I just kind of laugh at whenever I see it. I also think some of the voice clips are definitely a lot louder than they should be, so just some volume adjustments here and there would be just perfect for this game, because you know, you have all the material, you just gotta fine tune a bunch of it at this point. Now, the last thing that I'm not really so sure about, and I hope that I explain my point like really clearly here, but I think that this game is extremely targeted towards hardcore players. You've seen all the coverage with this game so far with like all the Smash Pro players like really promoting this game. It's definitely a game that really wants to be taken seriously. And that's not a bad thing at all, because I mean, it is a licensed game after all, so it's got that stigma that's trying to fight against. This game is making a real conscious effort to be like a serious gaming experience, and I think that's a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing. I enter this game and it throws so much stuff at you immediately, like perks, currency, special moves, etc., and there's not really a great entry point for a new player beyond the tutorial sections. I think, yes, it's good to target like a hardcore audience, but at the same time, Multiversus is a game that incorporates so many different franchises and such that have tons of casual fans, like tons of people that are just not going to be as familiar with platform fighters or even video games, to be honest. And so if you have like a regular Adventure Time fan, for instance, that's never played a video game, and then they come in here and they see all this stuff around them, they jump into a match and they get clobbered by, I don't know, Jake. I feel like there's a ton of people that are really clobbering me with Jake right now. Doesn't really seem like an easy game to really get into at this point. But then again, the more I think about it, the more that I realize that that's sort of the territory that comes with platform fighters at this point. I mean, even Smash Brothers, as good as it is at being like a simple experience for people to get into, even that game can be a little intimidating for a bunch of people. But I do think that Smash Brothers does a lot of things right that I hope Multiversus takes into consideration. Like, they make the menu section, for instance, seem very, very clean, very, very slick, very, very simple. Definitely, if you go into any of the sections, there's so much more you can dig into, but still, there's definitely a simplicity to the layout of Smash that I don't think Multiversus has right now. And I think Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl even did an almost too good of a job at looking simplistic. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl had so few options when it came out that I'm like, okay, like I know exactly where to go with this game, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of wish there was more. I feel like Multiversus just like throws so much at you immediately that it gets overwhelming and a little confusing, and it might turn off like casual players. And so I don't think there's any issue with targeting like the hardcore gamer, but at the same time, because of the nature of Multiversus and the fact that this game is going to reel in so many casual players, I really think that there needs to be more of a push to make sure that casual players don't get lost in this game beyond the tutorial, because I'm really glad that the game made me do some tutorials in the beginning, because the controls definitely drew me off a little bit, even as someone that's played both Smash Bros. And Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So I'm really glad that there were some tutorial sections that came in, but afterwards, like, there's no like, oh, you want to play against like easy players, then like you can go into this section and, you know, play against these like dumb CPUs and such. It just isn't like the easiest like navigation system at this point, and so I'm hoping that's something that they play with a little bit more when the game comes out and such. That's something that could be taken either way, but I do think that like the more accessible you make this game towards people, the better. There is a caveat in terms of like making so many different options that it's kind of hard to know where to start, so hopefully the game just comes off as less intimidating towards like new players. This game is still really, really awesome. I'm having such a fun time with it. July is going to be such a long wait once this alpha ends, like I really hope the game comes out like a physical edition or just like some kind of physical thing I'd love to buy, because I think this game really deserves it. I know it's a free to play game, but hopefully there's something that comes out that people like me can just like get and just hold in my hands and such. If you want to learn about a SpongeBob game that is so terrible that I think it should have never existed, then please check out the video in this corner. And special shout out to my patrons, Andrew Coughlin, Team Rival Sign Gamer, Crash Q, and Claw84. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. This is Riders writing out. Bye.